A year of silence. Amy and Danny haven't spoken in a year since the hospital. Amy is attempting mindfulness retreats and therapy, while Danny works odd jobs under a fake name. They're both haunted by what happened, not just to each other, but within themselves. One day, Danny sees Amy on a viral TikTok giving a corporate art talk. The past flares up inside him like a wound reopened. He closes the app and mutters, "You never changed." Echoes of rage, Amy returns to her art collective but feels empty. People see her as a survivor and success story, but she doesn't believe it. Danny starts working construction with a man named Miguel who notices his temper. They bond over shared anger and unspoken histories. Meanwhile, Amy's art begins taking on a darker tone, depicting violence, shame, regret. A gallery owner calls it a bold reinvention. She calls it a confession. New triggers. Danny's cousin Edwin resurfaces, pressuring him into a shady business deal. Amy's ex-husband George wants full custody of June, claiming Amy is unstable. The pressure builds on both ends. Again? They don't speak, but somehow still check each other's socials anonymously. Their lives spiral inward, silently parallel. And then fate, or something like it, crashes them back together. The accident, a hit and run outside a food court. Danny is nearly struck by a car. The driver. Naomi, Amy's sister-in-law. Danny catches a glimpse of Amy in the passenger seat. It wasn't intentional, but it doesn't matter. To Danny, it's symbolic. The beef is reborn. Detour to hell, Danny finds Amy's workplace and leaves a smashed ceramic chicken on her windshield. Amy finds Danny's apartment and pours fertilizer all over the porch. A passive-aggressive war begins. Lawn sabotage, spam calls, stolen Amazon packages. But it's different this time. They don't want to destroy each other. They want to understand why they still care, but neither of them will admit it. Broken mirrors. George hires a private investigator to track Amy's behavior. The pie catches her stalking Danny's job site, shaking in her car. Danny's construction gig goes south when Miguel gets arrested in a drug raid. Danny punches a cop. He's released on bail, but only because Amy anonymously pays it. She tells herself, it's to make sure he doesn't ruin his life again. That's all. Collateral bonds. Danny sees Amy waiting across the street. They sit in a diner. Silence. He asks, "Why do we keep ending up here?" She answers, "Because no one else knows what it felt like." They argue. Again, but don't walk away. The waitress nervously refills their coffee. Group therapy. Amy invites Danny to her therapy group, Rage Recovery for Adults. Danny resists but ends up joining after losing his temp job. The sessions are intense, personal, exposing old wounds. A woman in the group named Tasha challenges them both, calling them emotional narcissists. Amy feels attacked. Danny laughs. But Tasha, unlike them, has nothing to hide. The new beef. Tasha and Danny start a flirtation to Amy's quiet discomfort. Amy and Tasha clash in group. One session ends in screaming. Danny leaves, but something shifts in him. He doesn't want chaos anymore. Meanwhile, Amy's art show is canceled over controversial content. She blames the system. George blames her instability. She blames herself. Torn open, Danny returns to his childhood church to confront old guilt. He speaks to the pastor, who reminds him that healing requires truth. Amy isolates, creating a massive art piece titled "A Wreckage." It's a sculpture of two figures, both melting into each other in rage. June sees it and asks, "Is that me and Daddy?" Amy breaks down. Blame games. George files an emergency custody hearing. Danny tries to talk Amy into fighting for her daughter. She lashes out. "You ruin everything you touch, including me." Danny, "Maybe, but you liked being broken too." The truth stings because it's shared. They storm off again. All burned down the night before the hearing. Amy gets drunk and crashes her car. Danny picks her up from the hospital. No lecture. They talk through the night in the truck. Danny admits he tried to kill himself last year. Amy confesses she sometimes thinks June would be better off. They don't cry. They just sit in silence. A kind of redemption. Amy shows up to court sober, calm, and alone. She delivers a raw, emotional plea. Not for custody, but for understanding. George, shocked, offers shared custody after seeing her honesty. Danny watches from the back row, unseen. Outside, Amy finds a bouquet of marigolds on her car. She knows it's from him. New patterns. Amy returns to therapy. Danny joins a carpentry program. They stop texting, they stop stalking, but the bond simmers underneath, unspoken, until one day Amy shows up at his workshop. She asks if he can help build a new installation. He says yes, but only if I get credit this time. Building something new, they work on the sculpture together. Day by day, old arguments resurface, but now they talk through them. They argue about screws, not trauma. The project becomes a metaphor neither of them names. Tasha sees them together and tells Danny, "We're finally choosing peace." He doesn't answer. Opening night, the installation opens to critical praise. A jagged, beautiful mess. Critics call it rage reformed as art. Amy thanks Danny during her speech. George and June attend, awkward but present. Miguel, fresh out of jail, visits too. A quiet nod exchanged with Danny. The past is still there but no longer in control. The final test of fight breaks out at the gallery when a critic insults the work. Danny instinctively throws a punch. Amy pulls him away before security arrives. Outside, she says, "This isn't who you are anymore." He says, "Maybe not, but part of me still wants to burn everything down." She nods. Me too." Still here they sit on a rooftop that night, watching the city breathe. Danny says he's thinking of moving to Oregon. Amy says she might go back to school. They talk like old friends who once were something else. Danny asks, "Do we forgive each other now?" Amy, "No, but maybe we live anyway." Epilogue: the letter months later, Amy receives a package, a wooden box handcrafted by Danny. Inside, a note. For when things get loud again. She opens it. Inside, soft headphones and a single marigold. She smiles. She doesn't cry. She places it on a shelf near her sculpture. It's called A Stillness. Epilogue 2-piece. Maybe Danny works in a remote Oregon shop, building furniture. He keeps a photo of the gallery installation in his drawer. Miguel visits sometimes, helps him rebuild his life. Amy teaches a class on art and emotional trauma. They haven't spoken in months. But neither has blocked the other, and sometimes that's enough.